The next month or two of fighting will be significant as the Russians attempt to reinvigorate their efforts. But even if they are successful, we are not confident that the fight in the Donbass will effectively end the war. We assess President Putin is preparing for a prolonged conflict in Ukraine, during which he still intends to achieve goals beyond the Donbass.
The assessment today from our top intelligence officials is that Russia's offensive in Ukraine is not expected to end anytime soon and could be headed into an even more volatile and deadly phase, even as it appears that the two countries are facing a stalemate. Russia is continuing to bombard Ukraine's forces in the east, while also firing several missiles at the key port city of Odessa, striking targets including hotels and even a shopping mall. The Associated Press reports that Ukrainian, British, and American officials warn that Russia is rapidly expanding its stock of precision weapons and may not be able to quickly build more, raising the risk of more imprecise rockets being used as the conflict grinds on. That could result in wider damage and more civilian deaths. Grisly new discoveries of civilian losses are happening almost daily. In the Kharkiv region, 44 bodies were reportedly found under the rubble of a 5-story apartment building destroyed by Russian forces back in March. And at this moment, the House was supposed to be debating a nearly $40 billion aid package for Ukraine. But as per usual, Republicans are playing games and obstructing by attempting to adjourn for the day. Sorry, Ukraine. It comes hours after Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other members of Congress met with President Biden in the Situation Room to update him on their recent trip to Ukraine. And joining me now, former U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul, and Jason Beardsley, National Executive Director for the Association of the U.S. Navy. He is a Navy and Special Forces veteran. Thank you both for being here. Ambassador McFaul, can you think of any reason why the U.S. Congress could or would adjourn rather than pass this latest aid package?
No, I can't. It's unexplainable. Ukraine is fighting a war for its existence, for its independence, for its freedom, one that we have a giant stake in helping them win, so that we can guarantee all those things for our NATO allies and for the rest of the free world. So I do not understand why it should be delayed.
Jason Beardsley, it seems to me that there is currency in at least the perception. I get what we are, and we have an authoritarian party, that is attempting to govern alongside a normal political but flawed political party. But the outside world, isn't there currency in the outside world viewing the U.S. as more or less aligned, regardless of party, on supporting Ukraine? And doesn't the opposite do some detriment?
Sure, but, Joy, I'll take a departing view here and say, there is some value in pausing or making sure that $40 billion that are triggered for this are actually, administered properly. We've been in this game already for a couple months, and we really had an opportunity to get in front of the invasion. Supplying weapons before the breakout of hostilities was the best way to manufacture and make sure and train the people that were going to integrate them. We're in the middle of hostilities, so we've got to pull Ukrainian troops out, train them on new equipment, foreign equipment. And again, if we wanted to do this the right way, the better way was when we had 6 months of intelligence leading up to the invasion, and we could have potentially avoided kind of this long drawn out campaign. All right, now that we're here, that $40 billion is about the same amount that the U.S. Navy has budgeted to plan for ships over the next year, and we're falling 50 ships short of that. Our national defense strategy is larger than just this one campaign. And for the world, as you pointed out, watching the United States, they should know unequivocally that we have supported Zelensky with our $16 billion so far, other packages we've triggered. So we're in this all the way.
And Jason, to that point, let me ask both of you this, because what you just talked about pulling Ukrainian troops out, training them, we're equipping them. Here is what the Fiona Hill, who those of you who remember the whole Mueller report and all of the sort of goings on in the Trump world, this is what she said about Putin's view of the war. And she said this: Putin wants us to make it a proxy war. Putin is still telling people outside Europe that this is just a repeat of the Cold War. Nothing to look at here. This isn't a proxy war. It's a colonial land grab. In your view, and I'll start with you, Ambassador McFaul, anything that we're doing, like training and equipping the Ukrainians, doesn't that give Putin, or isn't Putin going to use that to continue his propaganda that, this is really a proxy war between Russia and NATO?
Yes, he will, Joy, without question. But he's been saying that for 15, 20 years. Even when I was the ambassador, he was saying we were fighting proxy wars against him. So to those that believe him, those that live in his bubble of propaganda, they're going to believe him, and those that are outside of it won't believe him. It's a lot like supporters of Mr. Trump and not supporters of Mr. Trump. New information is not going to change that debate.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important what Fiona said about framing this as an imperial grab. I think some people think, oh, this is a proxy war between Russia and the West. And some people think that here in the United States, by the way. It's not true. This is Putin trying to recolonize Ukraine. So remember, the Soviet Union collapsed. It was the last big empire around the world. We thought it was over. We thought everybody was going their independent ways. And now, 30 years later, he's trying to bring back, actually not the Soviet empire, the Russian empire. And that's why, if we believe in the rules of the game of the liberal international order, thou shalt not annex the territory of thy neighbor is a principle that we have to defend. And we have to defend the independence of Ukraine. And so that's why this is bigger than just Ukraine. It's about what kind of international system we want to live in.
And Jason, I think that is an excellent point. And I think, pretty much everyone agrees to that. But what does it mean that he's failing to do that? I mean, Putin can have whatever grandiose, goals that he wants. He ain't succeeding in those goals right now. What did you make of the sort of rather subdued, even though it looked like a lot like North Korea with the big military parade, et cetera? But Putin hasn't been able to claim anything, no victory, not even in the Donbass. What do you think that means, and does that make him more or less dangerous?
Yeah, I actually take it as a good sign. He's somewhat restrained in his celebratory, parade, because he's got people around him in the Kremlin and the Duma that have put a lot of pressure on him. This is embarrassing. This has been humiliating. The empire of Russia, again, is being dissolved in the muddy fields of Ukraine. Meanwhile, he's trying to make a face-saving, farcical, theatrical parade in Moscow while conscripts are getting hammered on the ground in Ukraine. Any conscript that's watching that video is going to feel a lot worse today than they felt before seeing it. So I think they did the best they can to try to put a good spin on it. But this has been embarrassing from the outset. And what I make of that is, number one, Joy, our intelligence organizations and military leadership really should have seen this coming. The analysis that we're seeing now after months on the ground, watching Russia fail to, multiple access fronts inside Ukraine, taking Kyiv. They couldn't do that. They just got pushed back from Kharkiv. They're trying to reposition in the east to take the Donbass. None of that seems to be working for them. They've had bad logistics, bad leadership, no NCO corps. Their generals are getting killed at a rate that we haven't seen before. And so all of this sort of should be a sign that, look, the way to intervene in these was to get on the front side of this. And here's the lesson. The opportunity for the White House is, don't let China and Taiwan become the next Ukraine. Get in front of these things, and you can see the successes we've had. Green Berets training the Ukrainians since 2014 have flipped the tide on this table in this occasion.
We're going to have you guys back to have more conversation about this. We appreciate you this evening, Ambassador Michael McFaul, Jason Beardsley. Thank you both. And don't go anywhere, because if you're hankering for the good old days of authoritarian abuses, well, look no further than the Philippines, where the son of an infamous dictator appears poised to become the next president. Back in a sec.